There is so much technology that we can all use in our homes to make it an easier and safer place to live. So, of course, for less than $100, you could have one of those medical alert systems. You can buy devices that will notify someone in case you fall. Even some of the smart watches now will detect falls as well, and then it'll pop up on your device and say, it looks like you might have experienced a fall. Do you need help? And then you just tap yes on your watch, and it will call 911 for you.
Studies show older adults overwhelmingly want to stay in their homes and live independently as long as they can. A K-State research and extension specialist says making free, low-cost, and some higher-cost modifications can allow older adults to remain in their homes longer. On today's Sound Living, Aging in Place. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. K-State Research and Extension Adult Development and Aging Specialist Erin Yelland says for those wanting to stay in their homes as long as possible, making home modifications now makes a lot of sense. Erin, one of the things we think about as we start to age is the fact that most people want to stay in their homes for as long as they can, and in order to do that, we're probably going to have to make some modifications. You're telling me that there's really some things you can do that are free, lower cost, and higher cost. So let's start with what's free, because as a friend used to tell me, free is always better.
Absolutely. And most older adults do want to age in place or stay in their home and live independently for as long as they possibly can. And in order to do that, there's some things that we can do around the house to make our home more comfortable and a safer place to live. So starting with those free things that we can do, the first thing is to declutter. The less stuff that you have, the less of a struggle you're going to have. The less stuff you'll have to clean, the less stuff you'll have to move around, and those sorts of things. So with that, we want to make sure that we're removing throw rugs, that we are not having cords go across the room, or any other things that are going to pose a trip hazard. We also want to make sure that there's fewer items in each room. So this will not only make things easier to clean and easier to move around, but we also want those items to be purposeful and purposefully placed. So if you're in a wheelchair or using a walker, we want to make sure that you have plenty of space to do that. We also want to make sure that you have plenty of open wall space to be able to walk up against the wall to help balance yourself if needed, that you have sturdy furniture that you could grab onto if needed. Other things that you can think about that are also free are to lower some items in your kitchen cabinets. And anywhere that you have to reach up or perhaps get on a step stool, those are items that we want to make lower so that we're reducing the risk for someone to lose their balance or perhaps have a fall. Really one of the most popular among the lower cost items, or the free items rather, is to check your water heater temperature, because we know a lot of older adults can have delayed reaction time, or perhaps they might get the water too hot and they don't realize it at first. So one of the simplest things you can do to prevent burns among older adults is to lower that water heater temperature. And we're going to be looking for a temperature of 120 degrees or lower. So there's a lot of different free things that we can do around the home. So I encourage everyone to start walking around room to room and think about what are some of these free things that I could tackle to help make my home a safer place.
What are some things then we can do that would be lower cost but still effective in helping us to age in place?
So one of the first things that we think about that are lower cost home improvement items for older adults is improved lighting. And this could be as simple as installing night lights or plugging night lights into the outlets, or even getting some tap LED light fixtures that you can put into closets or in the hallways and things like that. There's a lot of different low-cost options that we can do to improve lighting across the home. And what improved lighting is going to do is make sure that older adults can see when they're moving from place to place, but also if they have those mobility issues, they're using a walker, they're using a wheelchair, or if they are a little unbalanced or unsteady on their feet, that they can always see what's in front of them and we're able to get from place to place as safely as possible. So in my house, I have night lights plugged into the outlets in the hallways, and they are sort of those light detected ones, and they'll come on automatically when it starts to get dark. And that helps my kiddos feel safe at night when they have to get up and go to the bathroom. It's the same thing for older adults as well. Some other low-cost options to think about are handrails or grab bars. And we want to make sure, again, that those are screwed into the studs and installed properly so that if someone does have to grab onto them, that they're not going to come down with the older adult if they're falling. Then, of course, there's other things that we can do all across the house, such as installing lever handles instead of doorknobs. A lot of older adults who have arthritis, for example, find it really difficult to grab on a traditional rounded doorknob. And instead, levers make it easier to get in and out of rooms and to really operate and function around the house. Some other things that you might want to think about are touchless faucets in the bathroom and kitchen. You would just tap it on the top to turn it on and tap it to turn it off. And of course, any minor repairs that need to be done around the home. For example, wooden stairs that are leading outside that need to be replaced. If you need to install stair treads, sort of those lower cost home repair items that maybe you've been putting off, those should definitely be tackled.
I'm assuming then when we get to the higher cost projects, we're looking at maybe some actual construction modifications or maybe some higher dollar options?
Absolutely. So with those higher cost items, one of the first things that we're going to be looking at is sort of the ADA compliance of the home. Does it conform to the Americans with Disabilities Act for homes? And those really are looking at the width of doorways. We want to make sure that those are wide enough that if an individual is ever in a wheelchair or needing to use a walker, that the doorways were wide enough for them to safely get through and not really have to manipulate themselves too much to be able to get through the doorway. We're also going to be looking for things like installing outdoor ramps if you have stairways, installing things in the kitchen that can make it easier to function, such as pull-out drawers, lowering cabinets, and things like that. Another thing to be thinking about is your flooring. Flooring can be really tricky in a home, and the last home that I lived in had really slippery flooring in my kids' bathroom, and I was always petrified that we were going to slip and fall, and we were often slipping in there. So if you have flooring that's like what my old bathroom used to be, that's something that you're definitely going to want to look into getting replaced. There's actually something called a friction coefficient on flooring, and they often use it in relation to tile or wood flooring or vinyl. And what that means is the friction coefficient is something about how easily you're going to be able to slip on that floor. And the higher the friction coefficient, the less likely you are to slip and fall because it's sort of like a stickier floor or it has more tread and traction to it. So what the Americans with Disabilities Act and the American Association of Home Builders and some other organizations really recommend is that the flooring has a friction coefficient of 0.6 or higher. So this is a concept that I had never really heard of before, but it's something that's included with some of the information with flooring and tile and things like that. So you're going to want to make sure that that flooring is going to be as slip resistant as possible. But something else to keep in mind is that if you don't have the dollars to completely replace your flooring, you can buy some slip-resistant coating that you can essentially paint on your floor with a roller brush. And that costs about $85 per room to apply that slip-resistant coating. But definitely thinking about those major home repairs that you could do to make things safer, more livable, so that you can stay in your home as long as possible.
Yeah, when you were talking about the slipperiness, it made me think of tubs and showers. Again, maybe a more high-dollar item, but again, something that might be worth looking into.
Absolutely. So bathrooms are one of the most common places where older adults will fall, in addition to bedrooms and kitchens. So those places where we spend most of our time in our home. So a lower cost option could be installing, a non-slip mat or using non-slip mats in your bathtub or shower, installing those grab bars. But also some higher cost options could be installing, a walk-in tub, some of those higher dollar items where we're replacing the actual unit to make it safer. Of course, we can be using those grab bars, those non-slip mats, and using shower chairs if needed. But there's always sort of like a tier of options when it comes to some of these home repairs that we can be thinking about. So think about your budget, what you're able to spend, and what your biggest needs are.
Technology might also come into play. Probably for less than $100, you might be able to look into some medical alert systems or maybe even some smart devices.
Absolutely. There is so much technology that we can all use in our homes to make it an easier and safer place to live. So, of course, for less than $100, you could have one of those medical alert systems. You can buy devices that will notify someone in case you fall. Even some of the smart watches now will detect falls as well, and then it'll pop up on your device and say, it looks like you might have experienced a fall. Do you need help? And then you just tap yes on your watch, and it will call 911 for you. So there's lots of different devices that can help. There's also smart devices that can really help adult children monitor their older adult parents in their homes. For example, there are pressure sensors that you could put on a medicine cabinet, for example, to see if your mom took her medicine today. There's fall sensors that you could put next to a bed. There's also pressure sensors that you could put on bed to see if dad's gotten out of bed yet this morning, or if somebody should go check on him if he's sleeping in too late, those sorts of things. There's also technology that you can use to help make things easier. For example, some smart home technology where you could simply shout out to whatever device is in the room to turn the lights on or to make sure that the doors are locked. There's so much neat technology that we can incorporate into our homes at any age to make it a safer place to live.
And the nice thing is once it's set up, very easy to use. You don't have to really be technological sound to get this accomplished.
No. So most of the smart home technology now is incredibly user-friendly, and really anyone can use it. Sure, some people might need some help getting it all set up, but once it's set up and running, it's really good to go. And these things will last for years. And oftentimes, the smart home technology has updates that they will push to your device, and it'll automatically update to make sure that everything's working properly. So really, it's quite simple. And as the years have gone on, this smart home technology has also started to become even more affordable. So a lot of people can afford some degree of smart home technology or some of these devices that can make it safer for us.
Does Extension have any publications that might give some more ideas?
Absolutely. So, of course, our Keys to Embracing Aging series has a lot of information on how to be safe in your home. We also have some information on simple home modifications that can help anyone learn more about these simple things that we've been talking about today that you can do around your home. And, of course, with anything, when we're talking about advanced planning or aging well and being prepared to age well, we also want to encourage people to get their advanced care planning documents completed. And we offer a program called Advanced Healthcare Planning in Kansas that will help you get started thinking about those types of documents as well. So there's a lot of items that K-State Research and Extension offers for information and resources regarding aging and aging well and aging in place.
That's K-State Research and Extension Adult Development and Aging Specialist Erin Yelland. For more information, visit Kansas State University's Adult Development and Aging website at aging.ksu.edu and click on Programs and Publications. You can also contact any county or district extension office. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.